Okay, we're back to this. I believe this is now part 4. It is part 4. And we're going to do some more stuff on this rocket. I promise we're going to get back to the Gorilla as soon as I'm feeling better. Plus, I have a film shoot of, oh my God, a film shoot. We're shooting another movie, a short film, not a documentary, but an actual story, sort of Twilight Zone like piece that we're shooting this Saturday coming up, so we have a lot to get prepared for by that time. Plus, we're getting orders in the studio I have to fill, so I have to go back there tomorrow, cold or not. After we're done with the film shoot, I'm going to get back to, because I'll just be editing that, the Gorilla, which I really want to do. I've got a way to make a casting off of that underskull so I can sculpt a new skin for it. But we're going to be working on the space shuttle back. There, now I'm pointing. So, and remembering to look at the camera, which is right there. Yeah, it's a weird spot. So let's go do that. So when last we checked in, we were working on all of this, and I had to take parts off and put parts from the back side onto the front side, and but it all worked out pretty well. And after I sand and clean this up, put some putty on it and everything, it'll be fine. The alignment of the nacelles is great. There's this little part I forgot to put on. And basically, they give you inside there this little piece of wood. Yeah, this little piece of 1/8 wood, balsa. And then you cut a 1 7/16 piece of the wider, thicker balsa that they give you. This is designed for the Elvons, and which really aren't Elvons because they won't make you turn right and left, the elevator. But so you cut off a little piece of that, and only not too much, because you see, if you do, then you won't have enough. There, you won't have enough for this. Now that line right there marks how long the Elvon setup should be. So I marked that off so I would know for sure that I didn't cut over that line. So I have more than enough for the Elvon or elevator setup. So, and I made this, and I'm going to glue it on with some Gorilla wood glue. The 5 7/16, which I screwed up on this here, this ring, and this ring should have been the same place. This one was glued on behind the mark. This one was glued on ahead of the mark. You can see it there, which was just being stupid, being sick, and not playing with a full deck. Captain Kirk's locked on the bridge type of thing. So yes, whenever they give you a line like that, a measurement, it goes behind the line, not in front of the line. Then the space shuttle won't sit on this correctly. So now we're going to put in the launch lugs, and they are sitting over here. Most of the parts I need to finish this model are over here and in a plastic bag. I got rid of all the big sheets and stuff. So, but you see these little guys here? These are spacers, and they pop out of this die cut card, and then they go to the edge of this here. Oh, I'm not looking in the camera. Okay, right to here, and another one back here against this tube or the oxygen line, and then you put the launch lug to the side of that. You'll see in a second as I do it. Okay, so that finishes that off. You can see the two lugs. I got a lot of glue on them. I do not want them coming off. It's a little messy, but a little sandy. We'll clean that up pretty well. So that completes, as far as I know, everything that's got to be done on the external fuel tank. I can't see anything that I left off. You see how confusing this is? This looks like it's supposed to be raised up above something, but that's actually a spacer right there, and that goes on the side of the spacer. But it doesn't go on that side. It goes on this side. See? Just the way this gentleman in his thread online is showing. So I've been double checking him, and he ran into a lot of the same issues. So that is the correct way to put them on. And you don't have to be 100% accurate about the locations of these lugs. That's never been an issue I've found, but a little bit too much glue for me there. As long as they're parallel and straight, and you can put a tube through it and launch the darn rocket, you're fine. But I did use their calculations or their measurements to show where those go. This is going to take some putty and sanding and stuff to really get looking nice, but that'll be the next thing we do. And that completes the basic construction of the external fuel tank. Now we're going to move on to the shuttle. Okay, I took this piece of dowel, and it's the thinner dowel, so don't overcut your dowel pieces, as I did. I did it by joining two pieces in the center, which is perfectly fine, but it would have been better if I had paid attention. This is why also, no matter how good you think you are, read through the instructions from beginning to end at least once before you start a model like this. I did sort of, and sort of doesn't count. So they want you to glue on. Okay, they want you to set it up so this is on its side, and these get glued vertically, and they're taken from the die cut card. And we're not going to look at that part because we're just going to do this part right now. I've got to call it quits for today. So you can see how the parts came out, and that's what I did. And I'm going to put them on with a 1/16 gap between each piece of elevon. So in other words, there should be a 1/16 of an inch gap between them, like about so. And that's it. And another thing, make sure that when you put these on, you see how this flares out, not in. If you have them flaring in, then you have them on the wrong way. It's made very clear from the die cut itself. You can see how they're supposed to go and the 1/16 gap. So it should be pretty easy to get this right. So those went on very well. And again, you really need to make sure that these are parallel to each other and not, although, all it's going to do is make it turn a bit, and it really needs to turn a bit. And I'm going to put what we call gurney flaps on this, on the rudder, so that it turns in flight and doesn't fly away from the field. But this has to dry, and they have to be parallel, and they are very parallel. I thought this would be a lot harder to do than it is. It's not that hard. If I could keep it from falling over. There, back in frame. These two little parts here are dummy parts. They're the engine bells that go on the SRBs. And I'm going to stick those on just for looks. And those pop in very snug. Nice snug fit that you can remove later, but that way you have on display the SRBs the way they would look should they really, and it wants to fall over. So it's like, stand up. No, I won't do it. But you get the idea. Here, I'll hold it for you. There. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. We'll do some more tomorrow. I promise. As soon as I set this down. Okay, I'm continuing on here. Of course, I built this section here, and I built it, well, what I did, picking off some of the old glue, because I built, well, okay, I looked at pictures of the actual shuttle, and they were different in different pictures of different versions of it, and some of them, these tapered out, some of them tapered in. What they wanted you was to have these taper in. Of course, these taper out around this edge right here, which mine didn't. It really bugged me, so I pulled them off and I redid them. Of course, I have to remove some of the glue, but other than that, they're perfect. And then what I did was hook up the adjustment line here, which is 10-inch piece here, and a 10-inch piece of the elastic. If this breaks off inside, it's really going to be ever hard for you to replace if you don't cut a hole in the bottom under here and get to it that way. And then, like, I don't know. I see the problem. I thought it'd be easy just to make a hatch, but it really isn't, because you have this groove here which follows this and these. So, eventually that elastic's going to give away. Although this was the original elastic, it's very old and it's just fine. So I think really it's all about anchoring it to the nose in such a way that it doesn't pop out of there. We'll find out about that pretty soon, because the first thing they want me to do now is to take that template cut it out, put a bunch of pencil lead behind it, and then push it up against here and push the pencil really hard and mark their basic location. I just cut it out instead, and I'm just going to trace that way. Then I'll put these rings here, which are just cardboard die press, and put them on, and then those engine bells go on. It worked out very well. I mean, this is going to work a lot better than what they wanted you to do, and it gives you the approximate locations, which are fairly accurate. And so I'm going to now punch out the die cut and place these into them. So those are in place, and I use Gorilla Glue, and it'll take a while for them to dry, but it'll definitely hold it. I wanted to show you something else too, and that is that I kind of jumped ahead and did. If things have stopped falling over, there aren't many parts left. There's the nose weights, which eventually will go inside there with some cotton, so it wouldn't float around. This is the bulkhead, which goes inside the body, the fuselage, as you can see just there. We're going to glue that in here in a second. These I removed. They pretty much pop right off, but you can clean them up a bit till they fit right on the fuselage, and they glue on like over here. So and these were the injection molded parts, and these are the vacuum formed parts, and these are the 3 engine bells. I also put this together a while ago. It's very simple. You just put the 2 halves together and glue it together with this. Well, this is my favorite right here. Plastic weld. Plastic. So I'm going to take this apart. So this is all pretty easy. These went on really easy. I used the plastic weld, liquid cement. This one's very distorted. I'll try to bend it a bit more later after it sets up, but this was the way it came after being in a package for so long. I put the tail on, which was recommended to me that I put a gurney flap on this so that that it will actually turn. I could even cut this into an actual rudder, but I think I'll just do that, put a gurney flap, or I could put one out on the ailerons themselves. But this went on pretty well. So what I'm going to do now is glue these on. Next. My hand's blocking it, but those go on next. So if you really want to be a cool kid, you probably want to paint all this stuff first before you put it together, I guess. But it can be done, and I've done it many, many times before. I've gone in there with a brush and very carefully, painstakingly painted around everything, and it looked fine in the end. So that's what I decided to do, just like get all these parts assembled. I like to get everything in the box put together as best I can, and so I have no parts laying around, and then paint it. As you can see, I've already painted the booster, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to do the red oxide for the tank, because after all, this is Columbia, and I did watch her land. You can see the tank is white. The first launch was the Columbia, and her tank was white, and they later figured out afterwards that they could just as easily leave that paint off that external tank, and it would save a lot of weight. So nowhere on here does it say Columbia, except for we have, well, on this model, we have Columbia, Challenger, Discovery, Atlantis. I'm going to do a Columbia in honor of the great lady, the first one, the one I watched land at Edwards Air Force Base. That's another whole story we'll go into later. But those parts are all on. And so now what I'm going to do is get this bulkhead in. I wish I had a little stand to put this in, like I do for my model airplane, so it could be upside down without hurting anything. But I think I can get it in. Okay, one of the things they want you to do is on that top bell, you want to make a 3/16 inch hole in there. And the reason you want that is to be able to feed the adjusting line, not the elastic, through that hole. So you can pull it up and back to adjust the elevons in for the glide, because first time you glide it, I'm going to have a tiny bit of up in it, see how it does. If it needs more, I'll unloosen the adjustment line, which is not elastic, which will be, it's what you do is you pull it out, and when you pull it out this way, it'll allow it to go, the elevators will go down. If you let it out and let it in, the elastic will pull it up this way, so that you have up and down. And then you cinch it off through a little slot you're going to make in this engine bell, and so that you can pull it through and it'll snag it and hold it. That's the whole theory here. So I'm seeing little things like, what the heck is that doing there? This little, is that a pencil line? No, it's actually where it vacuum formed and did not, it pulled down very hard. Also these, I tried to sand these. It was real hard. The plastic's really thin, so I just used X-Acto blade and just did it that way. And these do fit over very well. So if I can get it positioned right. Well, first of all, it's not very flat here, so, but you get the idea. They fit down very well into the slot, and you push it in so it's right, like that, and it'll go up and down. See? So, and it gets closed in from the back side. It also has the rounded hole in it. They said you sand it away. I just cut it away. It wasn't sanding really well, so, but that'll work fine. Very good. So the next thing they have you do is they have you put this bulkhead in. This is the last of the die cut parts, and this goes ahead of that forward detail right there. They say the second to the last, so I believe this is in the right place. I also marked it 2 1/4 inches back the way they said, and it goes just ahead of that line right there. So it fits pretty good. I noticed trying to fit the bottom on that it doesn't really fit that well. So I don't know if I have to trim some off, or they want it to be somewhat rounded on the bottom, which I don't believe the Space Shuttle is. Very rounded. It's got a little sort of roundness, but also if you look down this thing, it is so warped. It's ridiculous. So after it sets up, and they tell you to use plastic cement, the thick stuff in the tube that none of us use when we're building plastic models because it's not the best glue to use. This is. I use some thick CA, which I think will work okay. It normally CA will eat into styrene. It can, but I didn't use any kickers, so I should be okay. And it's really thick, so if CA does not stick perfectly to styrene for this application, it should work pretty well. So that leaves now having to let that dry, and what they want you to do after that step's been done is they want you to work on the nose and get the elastic thread through and put the elvons on, as you can clearly see there. They want them pulled all the way forward so they're up as much of the way. You pull it, stretch it the opposite way with the cord. And probably the best thing to do for storage is let it be all pulled all the way in, not stretched out so it looks great, because eventually it'll break the elastic. Until that bulkhead dries, that glue, I want it nowhere near this toe line with the adjustment line or the elastic. So I'm going to leave that till tomorrow. That's probably as far as I'm going to get for right now. But I do want to kind of put this on and tape it together and hang it from the model, see how that looks. But before I do that, I got to put in the lugs which fit right in there. Okay, so there's the orbiter, and what they have you do is you can see here, they want you to go around with a ballpoint pen, mark the very edge, and then using emery board, you can see they want you to sand it so you can break off the edge. I tried that, but unfortunately, because it was crumpled from underneath, it wasn't easily done. So I used an X-Acto blade and then used a piece of sandpaper and did it that way. And this is the side that was damaged. in the packaging all those years. And this is the side that's okay. You can see the blend and the fit is actually very, very, very good. That's great. In fact, everything fit together very, very well. I'm quite pleased. Everything's, I put the lugs on the bottom here. Everything's snug as a bug in a rug. I mean, it's really came out nice, and that's what I remember. Now, I've taped it together temporarily just because I'm not going to go any further tonight. Actually, it's getting dark out there. So, what I have to do tomorrow is connect the elastic up to the front, and then mark the center of gravity and get it balanced, and then put the weight in there that balances the orbiter correctly. And once I'm happy that it's balanced correctly, then I can permanently glue on the nose. Should you ever need to get in there, you could cut off the bottom and get in there, I guess. Then I can glue the whole thing together, and then we can paint it. But it fit together surprisingly well, considering how old it is. And when I taped it together, it all went flat and nice and keyed up very, very well. So, and we've got the business end here, which looks great. We've got our hole there to put the line through and adjust. So that's it. It's, initially when you start to build something like this, you look at the instructions, you see how many pages they are, and you think, oh my God, this is a lot of work. But it really wasn't. It was just figuring out their backhanded way of explaining things sometimes, the instructions, which to me, some of them were like confusing, but not really bad. I've had worse. Anyone who's had experience scratch building and building rocket kits, with a little bit of experience can build this quite easily. And it really is nice. I mean, you kind of forget that the wings are bigger. If you look at it like that, it looks pretty scale. If you look at it like this, then, they look kind of big, but there's a reason for it. This is not light. I mean, I don't know what it weighs. I'm going to weigh it, but I know it does fly well. So let's put it on the launch vehicle with the SRBs and the external fuel tank. Now, yes, I'm still suffering a bit from COVID. This cannot be done with one hand. I don't think it can be. Maybe if I can lean this up at a bit of an angle. This is only the first coat of white paint, by the way. So I'm going to look under here. There's a nice groove there, which is really handy. And if I slide it back, I missed it, see? So what I'm going to have to do is get one hand free, and boy, am I under? There we are. No, I have to do this with two hands. Go. What a nice snug fit that is. And I mean, it's on there just perfectly. And when we blow the top of this off and the delay charge goes off, this shuttle will just come right off, no problem. But it's so snug and firm. I'm so impressed. This is really nice. You can see how the actual launch lug, the actual launch rail, is between all of this, which really surprises me, because I guess if you're going up, it's pushing down on this, so there's no way it's going to pop out. But you can see the lug right there, and then the other one's back down in there. And you can see how secure those are into the lugs on the shuttle itself. They're very snug, very nice. I am really pleased the way this all went together. I wonder if it'll stand up on its own. No, because it's heavy, but just top heavy to one side. But God, it's really level. The tail is not so level. I need to bend that a bit because I don't think the glue's all the way set up. That's better. So I got to watch for things like that, and once this is all dry, it'll of course hold that shape permanently. So wow, very, very cool. It brings us to that's part 4, I believe. So the next part will be showing you how I connect everything and close this orbiter together, and then we're going to detail it and paint it. One of the things I'm going to do tomorrow is scan these decals. Also, keep in mind that Sticker Shock, Mark has these in vinyl that you can peel off. Basically, he probably got a hold of some of these, scanned them. They're very nice. I'm tempted to get them, but I know these still work. And amazingly, they still work. So I'm going to scan them just in case. And of course, if I mess up, Sticker Shock has them. Mark Hayes, I believe, is his name. Nice guy. So that's in part 4.